Hello everybody, my name's Richard.
I'm Mark.
And you're listening to the retro edition of the Both These Guys Wrestling Podcast. What two shows we have this week.
They're good fun, they are.
They are very good fun. We are carrying on our Invasion series, looking at the two shows at the end of May, beginning of June, following the very beginning of the Invasion. Good fun, some good stuff, some utter stupidity, but a great start to the Invasion. Let's get stuck in. We're going back in time 16 years to the Invasion.
16 years, 2000. Do you remember 2001, Rich?
I remember bits of 2001. Do you remember 2001?
I remember a little bit about 2001.
Come back to you as time goes on.
I remember 2 episodes of Raw in 2001 quite well at the moment. But apart from that...
We'll get into this in more detail as we go along, but it is remarkable how different this show is to what we're presented with now, when it's still ostensibly the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it really isn't the same thing.
No.
And as we alluded to on last week's show, being uncomfortable with Chris Benoit in general is something you kind of now have to get over, isn't it? When watching these shows, Benoit is all over these shows.
He is, yeah.
Him and Jericho, for context, there was the ratings had declined for about 7 or 8 weeks in a row since the end of Mania and since the end of WCW. And Vince decided they were going to try and change things up a little bit, move some things around in the main event scene, and as a result we get lots of Jericho and lots of Benoit in these shows. Obviously the injury to Hunter helped, but yeah, we had a slightly freshened up main event scene, which was Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit about 7 or 8 times per show. So the first show that we're going to review this week is from May the 28th 2001, Rory's War, from Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
So let's have a look, going back to 2001, just some context. The UK singles charts.
Oh God!
From the Sunday between these two shows.
Okay.
So I'm going to tell you this song. You're going to tell me who sings it.
Okie doke.
So at number 10 in the UK singles charts on the 3rd of June 2001, No More, Baby, I'm a Do-Right.
Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons.
It was a cover version of the Frankie and the Valley and the Four Seasons song by 3LW.
I don't know who they are.
I don't know. 3 lovely women.
3 lovely women.
3 lovely women.
They sound like a stable from Raw, to be fair, at this point.
Yeah.
I could see that. I could totally see 3 lovely women.
I think it was one of the old 80s stables with Matty Young, Moolah, and I don't know, maybe who's the other one? Wendy Richter.
Yeah, to be fair, from 2001 Raw, that would be far too respectable a term to give to a woman.
Yeah.
More on that later.
Yeah. Or it's a beauty contest in Father Ted Neighbour.
Absolutely. Well, they are all lovely women in that context, aren't they?
At number 9 in the UK charts, Ride With Me.
I've at least heard of that song.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Nelly.
It is Nelly.
Get in.
Featuring Spud. I don't know.
Rockstar?
Oh, it must be, because maybe he was known as Hip Hop Star then, I don't know.
Oh, that's possible. But yeah, I'll get me.
In at number 8, Thank You.
You're very welcome. Glad you enjoyed it. Red Hot Chili Peppers.
It was Dido.
Ah, okay. I remember Dido. She was rubbish.
Yeah. At number 7, It's Raining Men.
Hallelujah. This is probably going to end up being a cover, isn't it? I'd have thought.
Yeah. It was. I'll just give you a little bit of a clue. It was from the Bridget Jones's Diary soundtrack.
Dido?
Jerry Halliwell.
Oh, good lord.
Number 6, All Rise.
Is that Blue?
It's Blue.
Get in.
You know your boy bands.
Absolutely.
In at number 5, Electric Avenue.
Oh, Christ.
You're going to rock down to Electric Avenue, Rich?
I might not right now, because we've got this podcast to do. I can see the dude. Go on.
It's Eddie Grant.
Eddie Grant.
Eddie Grant, the R-Truth of his day.
Absolutely.
At number 4, down from 2 the previous week, Don't Stop Moving.
Don't stop. Is that S Club?
S Club 7.
Yes!
Yeah, I saw this when I was looking at the charts, and I thought that was probably from about 94.
Yeah, I don't remember a time when there wasn't an S Club.
Yeah. In at number 3, new entry this week, Sing.
I don't think I'm good enough to sing. Is that Travis?
It's Travis, it
yes.
certainly is. Down from number 1 the previous week, Do You Really Like It?
Is it wicked?
He is wicked.
I don't know who that's by.
You're loving it, aren't you?
A little bit, yeah. Who's this by?
DJ Pied Piper.
DJ Pied Piper.
And a new entry in at number 1, Angel.
Robbie Williams. Okay, no, go on then.
Shaggy.
Oh, so it wasn't him then, Robbie Williams?
Nope. Featuring Rayvon.
Rayvon. Well, there we go. Who'd have thunk it?
I know. Also, number 1 in the album chart was Shaggy with Hot Shots.
The times they are quite different, aren't they?
I know. And number 1 at the box office in both the UK and America.
Bridget Jones.
Pearl Harbor.
Oh my
Just
God.
taking the top spot from The Mummy Returns.
Oh my God. And here we are in 2017 and The Mummy is back out at the cinemas.
Yeah.
And apparently it's terrible.
Number 1 in the Billboard 100 was Lady Marmalade by Christina Aguilera and Little Kim, Maya and Pink.
From the film Moulin Rouge.
Yeah. Who I think also known as 4 Lovely Women.
4 lovely women, yeah. They all have lovely bottoms.
If you say so.
Well, I imagine Father Ted would think that they did.
I'm sure he does.
Well, there we go. That's a quick eye on 2001. Wow. The one thing we have learned is I know my boy bands.
Yes.
There we go.
Now, TV in 2000. No, we'll go on to.
Well, this was TV in 2001.
It certainly was. It was on TV in 2001.
We had the show opened with a video recap of Benoit and Jericho winning the tag belts on last week's Raw, beating Austin and Hunter. This is where Hunter tore his quad. And this was that fabulous match that I alluded to on last week's show.
Yep.
This was such a great match. And it was a good intro video as well. We then had highlights from SmackDown when Vince put Benoit and Jericho in a 4-way TLC match for the belts with the Hardys, the Dudleys, and Edge and Christian. This had incredibly dramatic music over the top of it.
Yeah.
This made it really seem like a very big deal. Highlights from the TLC match, it looked brutal. There was lots of chair shots to the head and all sorts. This was really uncomfortable.
It really was.
And,
The uncomfortableness was only starting.
Yes, and Jericho and Benoit picked up the win. We then cut to the announce table with JR and Paul Heyman on commentary, where JR says that someone had given him a letter earlier on which claimed that everyone would meet The Undertaker's wife later on. It's the start of another very famous angle, which certainly goes somewhere.
It does.
Not where a lot of people wanted it to go, but it definitely went somewhere.
Not many people saw it coming.
No, for a variety of reasons. Mm-hmm. We then had Vince coming down to the ring, doing his strut.
Never gets old.
Never ever gets old. He got into the ring. We're in Canada, as we said, you're in Alberta. The Canadian crowds are normally full of beans, and this one certainly was. Vince came over, put over Canada, whilst also burying it. He would encourage his fellow Americans to come and visit the country, but definitely not live there.
Yeah.
He got the asshole chant from the crowd, which is always good. The crowd were super into everything, particularly Vince talking about Canada exporting hockey and strong beer to America.
And the word A.
And the word A, which is always a great word.
It is.
And they found a sign in the crowd talking about exporting beer and hockey to America, which Kevin Dunn gets a lot of stick, but at least he found that, so good for him. This brought Jericho out. He tried to cut a promo, but his mic didn't work. Vince said it was a Canadian microphone. Jericho gave him some stick about owning a $1 billion company, but couldn't get a microphone to work. Jericho got a new mic and said he wanted a WWF title match against Steve Austin in the main event. Jericho started talking about Vince wanting to be a genetic jackhammer. But he pointed out that Vince hadn't been really successful, but he had in fact created 2 sluts. One of whom was Stephanie, which is lovely, and the other is Austin. Now, this would not fly today.
No, not in the slightest.
And nor should it. But it's just very weird to hear that on TV. When Russo wasn't there at this point.
Yeah. Was it the... It was one of the old school rules, I think, when Mae Young was on there. And it was like some 6 women.
Was this with Lake?
In a wing. I think so. And she called them sluts.
Yes.
And everyone just went mental.
Yes.
And that was only like 4 or 5 years ago.
And Mae Young was never allowed on camera again. Yeah, that was weird. And this was
Hilarious.
weird. And Jericho comes back to this later on. This absolutely wouldn't fly. But anyway, Vince said no deal. Not going to give Jericho the title match. So Jericho, for a reason that I'm still not entirely sure, started showing footage of Vince singing Stand Back from the 1987 Slammies.
Because it was hilarious.
It was great, but this just smacked of they wanted to get a segment in with Vince dancing and singing from Stand Back. And they were going to get it in regardless of whether it made sense or not. So he showed that footage. Vince was mad, so he signed Jericho versus Big Show instead of Jericho versus Austin. This brought Benoit out. who said that if Jericho was facing Big Show, he should get the shot at Austin. The crowd agreed. Vince disagreed. So Benoit then showed footage of Vince dancing from the same slammies. Vince was annoyed and gave Benoit a match with Rhino and said in the interest of fairness he would let the most impressive of the two wrestle Austin in the main event for the belt. This went on a while.
It did, but Vince's reaction in this was so good.
Yep.
When it was just shown on the screen, he looked furious. He didn't raise his voice.
Nope.
And he just said, "Where did you get that footage?"
Yes.
Where did you get that footage? It was locked in a safe.
Yeah, it was locked in a safe. He wanted to know where they got access to it from.
So I'm thinking that maybe that's what Shane had
in the lockbox.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
maybe.
And that's what that's why he had to give the key back to Vince, and that's why he wasn't the general manager of Raw.
So it all makes sense.
Yeah.
Some 16 years later,
obviously we've got to work that out for ourselves.
Yes. Yeah, the announcers never told us that, did they? But playing the long game, that's long-term booking.
It certainly is. No one can accuse him of not doing that.
No, that's as good an explanation as any.
That's what I think.
But this went on forever. It was good, but it just went on forever.
I can never get enough of seeing Vince doing that stand back. That's just brilliant.
It is always good.
Seeing all the old wrestlers as well, completely breaking kayfabe, playing guitar, heels and faces
Hogan
together.
playing guitar in the background.
Yeah, Macho Man, Jake the Snake playing instruments. Who else was on there? There was like 3 or 4 all in the background.
I can't remember if it was on the first clip or the second clip. Just as they were about to get to Hogan's guitar solo, they cut it off. So I thought it was still good. Obviously, at this point, he's not back with the company.
Yeah.
That was good fun. Go to a commercial break, come back, and Howard Finkel introduces Stu Hart and some of the other Harts to the crowd. The crowd went mental for this.
Yeah.
They liked them some Stu Hart. Mm-hmm. Stu looking quite old.
Yeah, looking pretty old. Pretty old indeed.
With Diana Hart behind him.
Yeah.
Which was nice.
I think, was it Bruce who was...
Yes, it was Bruce. Yes. Stu, yeah. There was a lot of Harts there, wasn't there? Lots of cousins and
I was looking just to see if it was the case. It was like a young Natty there or something, but I couldn't see anyone else that I recognised.
No, me neither. We then had our first match of the evening, which was the Hardy Boys beating X Factor with help from fellow member of Team Extreme, apparently, Eddie Guerrero.
So what's all that about?
I had no idea that Eddie was with the Hardys. They came out with Lita as well. Eddie had the Hardy sleeve thing on. He was wearing the Team Extreme t-shirt. He did the hand thing. He was a fully fledged member of Team Extreme, which is very weird. Lita was at this point doing the thong pulled up very highly. That didn't look very comfortable.
No.
That was a bit weird. It just looks strange now, doesn't it? Very odd. At the time, everyone seemed to be a fan of it.
Yeah.
There was a girl in the crowd with a Lita in training sign, like directly opposite the hard camera. It's like, okay, fair enough.
Was this the show with Chyna's sister?
I think it was the second show that had Chyna's sister.
I can't remember. It was one of them. That was brilliant.
Yeah, this was a bit weird. Obviously, we missed some storyline somewhere in the intervening shows where Eddie joined up with the Hardys.
Yeah.
Jeff pinned X-Pac with the senton to get the win. Apparently Eddie lost clean to X-Pac on SmackDown. Albert tried to attack Jeff after the match, but Eddie made the save, and Albert was most annoyed.
X Factor changed their music this week. Slightly less offensive than the previous one.
The X Factor music is always terrible, though, isn't it?
It's horrible.
Irrespective of what version of X Factor it is, the music always sucks. Yeah. X-Pac's still really, really good, though.
Yeah.
Everything he does just looks so great.
Yep.
It's just a shame no one really liked him.
The whole match.
After the match, Albert went storming up the ramp. He was not very happy with Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah.
But this was a bit of a nothing match, really, but it was just a segment to have a segment, wasn't it, I think? Yeah. We then go to commercial, come back, and Terry, in like a nude bikini type thing, had an argument with Trish.
Blood, wasn't it?
Yeah, kind of. Had an argument with Trish in the dressing room area backstage. Trish was getting ready. In the mirror, Terry came over and got hairspray, I think, on her.
I think so.
Trish was not happy about this, and she said that her and Steve would beat up Terry and Perry Saturn later on. This was a really annoying segment, and they never really clarified who Steve was.
No.
I was thinking Austin, what?
Yeah, because you always have that thing where they don't really allow 2 people have the same name, do they? So you Steve, you think of Austin.
Yeah, it was strange. They never really clarified it. And then when Terry stormed off, Trish just went back to looking at her eyebrows in the mirror, which is very weird. Really thin eyebrows, which I'm guessing was the thing at the time.
Maybe that's what she was thinking. These are bloody thin. These are
thin eyebrows. I need to get a marker pen. Yeah, annoying. We then cut to Albert meeting with Regal backstage. He demanded a match with Eddie Guerrero for later on in the show. Albert storming in kind of made Tajiri drop a photo of the Queen, and it smashed.
What a bastard.
What a bastard. In Canada as well, where she's their head of state also. He was hanging it for Regal. Tajiri was most sad, but Regal granted the match because I think he was afraid of Albert.
Not
Interesting
the right thing to do.
that those two now are like the head of NXT. It's crazy to see Matt Bloom and William Regal in that segment. We then come back to what was a really good TV match, Chris Benoit versus Rhino. This was really good. Benoit hit a ton of German suplexes. It was kind of like a Brock Lesnar match quite early. Rhino went for the gore, but Benoit caught him mid-charge and put in the crossface for the submission. Heyman put over the fact that no one had ever tapped Rhino out before. It was really good.
Yeah, it was. It was a short match, 3-4 minutes, but full on everything that you need, really.
And everything.
Rhino's still looking quite strong, even though.
Yeah, absolutely. They it wasn't a squash, was it? Even though it was like a 3 or 4 minute match, they kept both dudes quite strong.
Yeah, he's got a submission finish, and he took his one opportunity to get that and tapped the guy out.
Yeah, and Benoit's in the main event scene, so he should be going over quite strong over Rhino. Yeah, even though he's just debuted. If you're gonna put that match together, there's only one possible win there.
Yes.
This was good. Back from commercial, we had Perry Saturn and Terry versus Steve Blackman and Trish Stratus.
I can't believe Steve Blackman was still with the company at this time.
Yeah, I didn't realise he was still there in 2001.
I thought he was in the 90s back with S Club 7 and all that. I was very surprised.
This was a nothing match, wasn't it, really? It was more of an angle, to be honest, more than a match. Terry jumps on Blackman's back at one point, tried to put him in a kind of a sleeper, sort of. Yeah. He kind of got her off and then spanked her. The crowd went crazy for that.
Yes.
It's a different time. Again, the presentation of the women at this period is just amazing. The thing that staggers me is that you had, coming up at this stage, you had people like Sasha Banks and Bayley and those kind of girls watching at home, and they decided they wanted to do this, having grown up through this period.
Yeah.
Which is remarkable, because the women in this show and in the following one are presented as either sex objects or idiots.
Yeah, or both. Usually both.
It's remarkable that this stuff happened. But I digress. We'll come back to that later.
Terry didn't look happy at all when she was being spanked by Blackman.
No, you wouldn't be, would you?
Well, I was surprised, because I've recently saw a shoot interview with New Jack, and he said she loves being spanked by Blackman.
Okay, cool. Is that real?
Maybe.
There was a chant of "We want puppies" here as well, which is always good. Which is when Steve Blackman and Perry Saturn were in there. At the finish of the match, this is where things start to get historic. This is where the invasion truly begins. In Calgary, where Lance Storm hit the ring and super kicked Perry Saturn to a huge response. He then ran out into the crowd and through the arena as Steve Blackman picked up the win. This was the first shot in the war. The presentation of this was excellent. Lance came across like a megastar.
Yeah, he did.
Obviously, it helped being in Canada.
Yeah.
JR and Heyman on commentary reacted huge to it.
Yeah.
It wasn't an "oh my" type Michael Cole moment.
Yeah.
They sold how big this was as Lance was running out through the crowd, and we go to commercial break. We come back, more footage of Storm running out of the arena where he met Shane. Still in his gear when he ran out.
You imagine he arrived in the same limo in his gear as well?
Yes, absolutely. Ran into the building, did the super kick, and came back out.
Yeah.
Lance and Shane had a big old hug, and they were very excited, and then they left in the stretch limo together. This came across as a very big moment, as it turned out to be a very big moment. We then have Vince backstage going insane at the security, yelling at them for letting a WCW dude sneak into the building. He said if anyone from WCW interfered in any matches later, all of the security dudes would be fired. We then cut to Al Snow in WWF New York, where he plugged Tough Enough. This was just a segment to plug Tough Enough, wasn't it?
WWF New York looks nice though. I'd like to go there.
A little bit late on that one, I think.
Wow.
We then have Spike backstage, Spike Dudley with Molly Holly. They were flirting backstage, and they were about to kiss when Kurt Angle walked up and stopped them. Spike was annoyed and slapped Kurt around the face, which didn't look very comfortable and was probably a bad idea. Kurt then kicked Spike's ass and kind of angle slammed him sort of into a fence. He tried to do it anyway. Molly ran off looking for the Dudleys to come and help Spike, found them in a locker room and asked them to come help. She then just ran off, which I enjoyed, as the Hollies walked around the corner, saw the Dudleys and attacked them and laid them out.
Yeah.
Beat them up, something fierce they did.
Making it look like it was a ruse.
The Dudleys were not happy about this. Then had Jericho and Big Show for the WWF hardcore title. They just had a match, didn't they?
Yeah, nothing really much to it.
Big Show was very slow.
He must have just had his hair cut because his Tron was all ponytail Big Show.
Yes, it certainly was. He looked very, very slow in this match.
Yeah.
Finish saw Jericho dropkick the steel steps into Big Show's head and then hit the Lion Salt for the pin. And as Jericho was walking up the ramp with his belts celebrating, Rhino ran out and gored him to death on the ramp. That was a brutal looking gore.
Yeah.
It looked ace though. And he pinned Jericho to win the hardcore belt under the 24/7 rules. I enjoyed that. That was good.
Yeah, it was. I always used to like the hardcore 24/7 rules, so I thought that was great.
It was good until they overdid it, and they did it to death, I think, a little bit.
Just some of those old segments, though, when you get Briscoe and Patterson as the champions, and Crash would be asleep, and get a ref to count quietly.
That was quite good.
If you could do something like that, I think, quite easily, and be creative and have a segment every week.
Yeah, possibly.
Maybe not as for the hardcore belt, just because of the implications of it being hardcore. Yeah, maybe a 24/7 belt or something.
Yeah, possibly that could work. They got a good couple of angle replays for the gore on the ramp, which made it look really, really brutal. It was really good. After the break, Eddie Guerrero and Albert. There was a big gorilla press from Albert onto Eddie. Eddie looked great in this match.
Yeah.
He looked huge though.
Yeah, he really did it. Yeah, I think he was gone not long after this as well, wasn't he? Because his addiction,
the old steroids and that. The slingshot into the second rope by Albert, who was sort of trash talking the whole match, giving Eddie some stick. The big crossbody from Eddie, Albert caught him and slammed him into the ring post outside. That looked quite uncomfortable. Lita was supposed to distract Albert for the finish. She ran down, but they didn't actually look at Lita. She kind of got on the apron and they didn't pay any attention.
Yeah.
They kind of forgot to get distracted.
Yeah. Either she missed her cue or they just, didn't look. They forgot to look or something.
Yes. The announcers put over the fact that Albert was distracted. They were saying, well, of course he was distracted. Look at Lita, she's amazing. But this just came across by making everybody look a bit stupid because he definitely wasn't distracted. Eddie gave Lita a big hug after the match, then realised he wasn't supposed to do that and shook her hand instead. Again, it's another one of those matches that kind of feels like an angle.
Yeah, definitely. Who knows where it's going or where it started.
Yeah, I imagine this is not far away from being dropped.
Well, I'd imagine it gets dropped once Eddie gets released.
Yeah, and lots of things are going to get dropped soon, aren't they? Because the invasion's going to kick off fully.
Yeah.
Then we had footage of a stalker filming Undertaker's wife Sarah brushing her hair. We had the scary Black Scorpion voice from the WCW days, saying we'd see a lot more of Sarah in the weeks to come. JR was great here, being disgusted by what we were seeing. JR was not down with this at all.
Testing a little bit too much, maybe.
Do you think JR was behind it all?
I don't know, but I can see why Taker might have thoughts that maybe that's the reason.
Possibly, yeah. No, I can see that. We then had Vince meeting with Jericho and Benoit backstage. Benoit and Jericho had a really awkward exchange for like 30 seconds or so before Vince turned up.
Yeah.
They were being understated and it was just a bit odd. Like Vince was supposed to turn up earlier and didn't.
Any promo with Benoit and someone else is kind of awkward anyway. He's at the beginning when they was doing the stuff with Stand Back and he was kind of doing dance moves to show that Vince was dancing, was also just
a bit crap.
It's one of those things. It didn't come natural to him, and they're making him do it. Yeah,
which you can kind of make an argument for. Take him out of his comfort zone and see if that kind of inspires him to do it. But yeah, it did just seem a little bit awkward. So yeah, Vince said that both Jericho and Benoit deserved a shot, obviously because they both won their matches, and that Austin wanted to face them both at the same time. However, Vince said he wouldn't allow that. So after some humming and hawing, he chose Benoit. But then just before he left, at the end of the segment, he said he wanted to talk to them later and find out where they got that stand-back footage from. Vince, again, great. Being humiliated and also being angry at the same time.
Yeah. Vince
is the best Vince ever. Jericho gave a big pep talk to Benoit after they decided that the title opportunity was going to be his, saying, they're in Calgary where they both got started. And once he wins the belt, he wants Benoit to know that he wants the first shot. Which wouldn't work because surely Austin would get his rematch.
Possibly. You'd think so.
But the champions entitled to an automatic rematch.
Don't always get it.
No, they don't always get it, but they are supposed to.
Maybe that's not part of his contract, you don't know.
Yeah, well, just ask Kevin Owens. He never got his rematch for the Universal belt, did he?
Absolutely, yeah.
And never seemed overly fussed, which is weird. Then we had another backstage segment with Regal, sending Tajiri off to go and get some coffee for Vince when he came in. Regal saying bloody foreigners after he sent Tajiri away was great. Regal is the best.
Yeah.
Regal and Vince together are ace. I really, really like them. Vince said that Austin couldn't tell Regal what it was, but Austin had a really good idea for the main event. Regal and Vince, I could watch those two together every week. They're tremendous. We had the Hollies and the Dudleys in a tables match. This wasn't very long and it wasn't very good. They did the What's Up spot, which they're still doing now, or they did when they were still with the company.
Yeah.
Crowd chanted that they wanted the tables. The Dudleys, as the Dudleys were getting tables, they chanted that, which was weird. It's like, surely you chant that before they get the tables. But the Dudleys hit the 3D for the win. This was just a match to get to the post-match angle, really.
Yeah.
Molly got into the ring afterwards to check on Bob, and the Dudleys grabbed her by the hair, which, again, just don't do that. Spike jumped into the ring, although he didn't exactly rush. Kind of ambled over and told Devon and Bubba to leave her alone. So Bubba slapped him down. The crowd sort of booed, but not massively. Spike lay on the table to try and protect what's her name? Molly. But the Dudleys just gave her a Bubba bomb through Spike and the table anyway. They both got stretchered out after the commercial break, both of them asking about how the other one was and saying it was more important that they were okay than each other.
Sweet.
It was very sweet, wasn't it? They've obviously got a true love there.
Yeah,
Molly Holly looks so different to how she does a few years down the line, doesn't she? With the bleached blonde hair and the sort of pigtail thing and all the rest of it. Again, she looks like a total 90s woman wrestler character, doesn't she? Which she doesn't look like very shortly. They then showed clips of Hunter at the doctor because of his injury.
Comes across as a hell of a baby face, doesn't it?
He does. Well, this all aired on the DVD. There was a DVD about Hunter's rehabilitation and his sort of comeback stuff. It was all sort of low-key stuff. Stephanie talking like a normal person. She smiled like a normal person at one point.
Having a little cry.
To prove that she can actually do it. This is all really good, and it all built very well to Hunter coming back as a babyface. Just discussing how long he's going to be out for. We had Heyman and JR talking directly to the camera, and someone in the background had a Blue Blazer sign. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't see that.
And also had like a Blue Blazer cape on as well, which is lovely.
Okay.
A couple of years after Owen passed away doing the Blue Blazer gimmick.
I imagine right behind Stu Hart then as well.
Yeah, probably. That was really, really nice. I enjoyed that. Hunter was wearing his bum bag when he was entering hospital. I enjoyed that enormously. Like I said, this all aired on the Triple H DVD, which is a really good DVD. JR and Heyman put over Hunter and then put over Benoit. This was directed to camera. And Heyman said, "There's something in the air tonight. You can feel it." And he repeated that line again when Benoit came out, like alluding to shenanigans, which we did get in the main event. Yep. Austin came out with Vince with him to his awesome heel music, which we had at the Fight Club Pro show last night. That music's great.
Great song.
Really like that music. Prior to the main event, Howard Finkel had an announcement to make. He said, "Ladies and gentlemen, your referee for the following contest, Earl Hebner," which again should have been a huge angle alert sign flashing. Yeah. The crowd booed, but not massively.
Not a lot, no.
I was expecting a lot worse for Earl from that one, but that was great. Yeah. The Fink did the old school ring intros for the championship match to make it seem like an even bigger deal. Howard Finkel should be on Raw, SmackDown, NXT, the pay-per-views, the UK show, and 205 Live. He should be doing everything. Total Divas put him on everything to announce everyone at all times. This is one of those things, and it goes the same for JR and his commentary. Why is the Fink not out there? I know why, because he's older and he's a bit fatter and whatever.
Yeah, he's not a pretty lady or a pretty man.
But he's so good.
Yeah.
Same with JR on commentary. JR was fabulous in this match. It makes it seem like a real big time match, having Fink do the intros obviously. JR put over the fact there was additional security around the ring because of the WCW invasion by Lance Storm, which I thought was a nice touch. Vince stayed at ringside the whole time. Benoit took the sternum first Irish whip into the turnbuckle like Brett does, which is great. Austin worked over his ribs, although Benoit fought back with some chops. Benoit got the crossface temporarily, but Austin made the ropes and then bailed outside. Benoit threw him into the announcer's table and the ring steps, but then Austin reversed him into the ring steps himself and threw him back into the ring. Kind of wrestled around a little bit, Benoit got the better of it and put him in the sharpshooter, and the crowd went insane.
Yeah.
Austin made the ropes. The crowd were most annoyed. They fought outside again, and Austin dropped Benoit ribs first across the barrier. He did that a couple of times and didn't really take much care of Benoit as he dropped him. Kind of like Randy Orton did with the Singh brothers a couple of weeks ago. Didn't take care at all, and Benoit had quite an uncomfortable looking landing. Yeah, that wasn't nice. Then he suplexed him onto the announce table. JR was going insane at this point about what a son of a bitch Austin was.
Yeah.
Again, JR, I know it's flogging a dead horse, but JR really is the best. Benoit kicked out of the... he dragged him back in the ring, and Benoit kicked out after the suplexes. Austin applied an abdominal stretch, but Benoit escaped and hit 2 Germans. Austin countered a superplex and hit one of his own. Benoit kept kicking out as JR was going more and more insane about how Austin couldn't put him away. Austin launched him outside and went to hit Benoit with the belt, but Hebner took it off him. In the ring, Austin hit the stunner, but the ref was arguing with Vince. Austin goes to see what's going on, but Benoit gets the belt and hits Austin with it and covers him, and then Austin kicks out. Benoit got the crossface and Vince pulled Earl out of the ring. Earl shoves Vince down. Vince took a great bump for Earl Hebner. Austin then got the ropes, but he was in the cross, and then put the crossface on Benoit, and Vince screamed, "Ring the damn bell!" And that was the match.
Yeah.
Benoit losing via screw job to Austin in Canada.
At what point did you realise it was going to be a screw job finish?
When they announced Earl as the referee, you could see it coming, couldn't you?
It was when I realised Vince was still at ringside, which was just slightly after that, and then it clicked with me that oh yeah, of course it's going to be.
Here we go, because we have to do this like 5 million times, don't we? JR again was great. His disgust at what was going on was fantastic. After the match, in order to send the crowd home happy, Jericho ran down and put Austin in the walls as Benoit put Vince in the crossface. Both of them tapped out, and a million referees came down to try and break it up. Austin tapped like a maniac, and Vince kind of tapped a little bit, and then one of the referees said something to him, and then he tapped loads after that. So whether the ref told him, you need to tap a bit more here, as the crowd went crazy as Benoit and Jericho celebrated to close the show. This was really good fun. I enjoyed this.
I did it. It's such a good, like you say, fun show.
There's
really
some stuff that's very uncomfortable, but this was good, and it was a good start to the invasion. Yeah, I enjoyed it. 2 thumbs up.
I think so, yeah. It just emphasises again, even though you've still got some filler on there, when it's an hour less to start with, it's so much easier to get through.
Yes, it certainly is. So they on the network, they come out about an hour and 36, don't they?
Something like that, yeah.
Which is, again, you can watch that quite comfortably. Yeah. It was a good mix of different stuff. There was some good wrestling, there was some angles, and obviously we get the very big angle from the first show.
Yeah.
So the second show then.
4th of June Raw 2001 from Minnesota.
The Twin Cities.
The Twin Cities, indeed. So, starts with highlights of the Austin-Benoit match, which was on SmackDown the previous week.
Yes, an awesome match.
It looks it. I wanted to go back and watch it after this. It did look pretty special. It's a match where, at one point, Benoit hits 10 rolling German suplexes on Austin.
Do you think Brock was watching his Benoit tapes when he was getting ready for this most recent run?
I think so, yeah.
The good Benoit stuff anyway. Suplex City and all that.
Yeah, not the promos.
No, not the promos.
Well, maybe that's why he got Heyman, so he didn't have to worry with those promos.
That is a good point.
Yeah, so looks a little bit brutal, that match. Highlights of that, then JR and Heyman welcome us to the show, announce that the King of the Ring tournament finally kicks off tonight, and that there'll be 2 unique qualifying matches.
Yeah, the King of the Ring tournament, the graphic, it's not a throne, it's an electric chair. I never really understood that. So you don't want to win because you sit on the chair and you'll get electrocuted?
Maybe they're going to do that Chamber of Horrors thing from WCW. They've just got the company now.
That's true, yeah, they own the rights to it, don't they?
Yeah, they can do that. Get Abdullah the Butcher there to try and be electrocuted again.
No one needs to see that again.
Have you ever watched that?
I have seen that match. It certainly is something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Something being a bag of balls. It was terrible. But that's that era of WCW, isn't it? Very ropey.
Shame considering some of the participants, but yeah, it was a bit crap. Anyway, Undertaker also will be in the house to finally address the whole Stalker issue. But we're going to start off with a title match. IC title match between Christian and Kane. So Christian walks to the ring hoping to succeed where Edge has failed previously. Starts just doing some piss taking from Minnesota sports.
Yes, didn't understand much of this really.
Some weeble called Kirby Puckett don't know who that is really.
Nope. Crowd weren't happy though, were they?
Yeah, and then Kevin Garnett, who I do remember playing for Minnesota Timberwolves back in the days when I did watch basketball. Something to do with him apparently not being very good in playoffs.
Lots of cheap local sports team heat.
Yeah, exactly. Worked.
Yeah, absolutely. No, got the crowd into it. Got the crowd booing Edge and Christian.
And as gets pointed out later, there is some local sports star in the crowd. Can't remember off the top of my head whose name that was.
Nope.
So for the WWF Intercontinental title, Christian starts off strong. Kane soon shrugs him off though, throws into the mat. Kane then climbs to the top rope, but Christian cuts him off, attempts to go up himself, but gets thrown off by Kane, who then connects with a flying clothesline to Christian. Kane covers, but Edge distracts the ref from making the count. Kane then hits the ropes and gets his ankle grabbed by Edge. Kane thinks, sod this, goes out after him. Christian follows him though, nails Kane from behind and trips him into the ring steps. He then rolls himself back into the ring and distracts the referee, allowing Edge to work Kane over on the outside. Eventually Kane gets back in the ring, grabs Christian by the throat looking for a choke slam. Edge again distracts Kane this time from the apron, leading to Kane bringing Edge into the ring and choke slamming him. Christian pulls Kane out to the floor, two battle outside the ring.
Why wasn't this a DQ?
A DQ win for Kane.
Well, in fairness, it should have been thrown out, shouldn't it? Another man getting into the ring. That used to be no contest type stuff.
You would think so.
Or Christian should be disqualified. In fairness.
Maybe again the ref was distracted by something else.
Maybe
he was easily distracted. This referee, he had a short attention span.
He did, but as all referees do in wrestling. But this seemed like it should have been a DQ to me.
Yeah, it wasn't though.
No.
Christian pulls Kane out to the floor. The two battling outside the ring when a siren goes off. And the letters WCW appears on the Titantron.
Deep heaving sighs were heard in my living room when this occurred.
Why was that?
I hated this. They tried to explain it later on in the show, but I hated this.
What did you hate about it?
Well, explain to the people who ran in.
So a siren goes off and the letters WCW and the WCW logo flashes on the Titantron. Suddenly, WCW's Hugh Morris runs in the ring, climbs to the top, and hits a moonsault on Edge.
He nearly fucking kills Edge.
Probably broke several of his ribs while he was doing it.
Yeah. Knees and legs straight into the ribs.
Absolutely, that's the guy who was training in development for a long time.
Absolutely, head trainer for a long time.
Absolutely, yeah.
That was fucking brutal.
Morris then escapes to the crowd while Kane, Christian, the referee all make their way back into the ring. Christian sets up Kane for the unprettier, but Kane shoves him away and hits a huge powerbomb for the pin. All of that in just over 4 minutes.
Yeah, there's a lot packed into it. I hated this with every fibre of my being. This was the complete opposite of what they did the previous week with Lance Storm running in. I know we're gearing up to the Invasion era, and I know that the WCW guys are going to be all over the show soon. But why do we have to announce that the WCW guys are turning up?
I'll tell you why.
It was so much better, and I know they try and explain it later on in the show, but it was so much better just having the dudes run in, like unannounced.
I think it was because most of the crowd will be thinking, "Who the hell is that?"
They might well be thinking that, but you don't need the siren. I don't think it helps. And the fact that, and again, I know they explain it, like the camera cut so you can see WCW flashing up on the Titantron. Stupid. Hated this. But I know we explain it in a segment or two's time.
Yeah.
But that really annoyed me.
Yeah, it wasn't the best, but like I say, I just don't think many of that crowd would have known. He was a lower to mid-card guy in WCW for his whole reign.
So you can't use someone a bit more high profile to do this?
No, that's the whole point, yeah.
What you could do, perhaps, is use DDP. Get DDP to do it. Or Booker, or anyone that's not fucking Hugh Morris.
They might have even done better moonsaults.
Not tried to kill a dude.
Yeah.
This annoyed me. The match was nothing, but this annoyed me.
Next thing we see then is Vince walking backstage looking in a really bad mood.
Yes, he was very cross.
Just point point out as well, just before we see Vince, we do see Shane celebrating the production truck.
Yes, which is their attempt to explain why, presumably, we had the siren and the graphic and all the rest of it. So, we're to understand that Shane went, locked himself in the production truck, produced a CD, or a videotape maybe, with the logo for them to put up on the screen, and the siren music thing to play. Told Kevin Dunn that he wanted him to cut to the right camera angle so we can see WCW flash up on there, and all of the people who all work for Vince just went, okay, yeah, that's fine.
Maybe they like Shane a lot more than like Vince.
But
maybe someone's off sick that day.
Maybe Shane bought his own production people with him, hired the dudes.
Maybe they don't watch the show and just think Shane still works for Vince.
Maybe. I know they tried to explain it so it's a little bit better, but I still hated this. This is stupid.
It certainly didn't have the impact that Lance in Calgary had.
No, it certainly didn't. And there is more of this to come later on. The more my annoyance returned about this later, which we'll cover when we get to it. But this was stupid.
So back from the break, Vince makes his way to the ring and looks to share a few words with us. Starts off by saying how Shane is trying to be disruptive, but he won't let it happen. Completely blows up.
Yep.
That was it. Okay, I'm going to say one sentence about what's just happened of the invasion. A competitor invading my company.
Yep.
Not going to give it the time of day. That's
Nope,
fine. I'm going to come to the ring and talk about something else.
Yep, just fuck this shit. Doesn't matter.
So he decides to start talking about Chris Benoit and how Benoit gave Vince a number of injuries on SmackDown because of a vicious chair attack.
Yeah, they showed highlights of this, didn't they? And
yeah, which proves that Benoit is an animal. He gave Vince a small concussion and even hematopas. Hematopas, that's what he gave Vince.
Well,
contusions and hematopas.
No one wants a hematopa, do they?
It sounds like a load of crap.
Yeah, they just blow past the concussion thing. He's got a concussion, but it's fine, and it's all fine now. We didn't really understand what any of that was about.
Nancy.
Yeah, absolutely. You work through that.
Sorry, I shouldn't say that in a Benoit segment.
No. But you need to get over it, and it's just a concussion. You work hurt and all that business. Horrible.
Vince explains how Austin had beaten Benoit with his own submission hold, and even beaten him in his hometown, but feels Benoit is sadistic for giving him 10 suplexes, and because of that, he will never get another WWF title shot. And it feels Benoit needs to learn respect for the WWF Championship by booking him against the Big Show tonight. Big Show lost in a few minutes against Jericho.
Yeah, that'll learn him.
Yeah.
He's very big, though, isn't he? The Big Show.
He's very big. He's very, very big.
So, big dudes and that.
Yeah. At which point, Mick Foley makes his way out. Obviously with his new book. Did
you know he's got a new book out? Foley is good. Apparently it's a #1 bestseller on the New York Times list.
So I hear. I didn't know. I was so pleased that he told me that.
Yeah, they didn't really mention it though, did they? Very often.
No, and you know what's even better? With this being a 16-year-old show, I'm glad it's never brought up in the next 16 years as well.
Yeah, they just really skip over it, don't they, a lot of the time?
That's fine. Yeah, we're over that. So Vince obviously isn't very happy to see him. Foley grabs his mic. First he says he's out there to thank the fans for making his new book. Well, he had a new book.
Oh yeah.
Foley is Good, apparently it was called.
Right. And never heard of it.
Yeah, apparently it was a #1 bestseller.
It's a good book. I enjoyed his book.
I don't think... is that his second one?
That's the second one.
I think I've read that one.
It's good. It's fine. It's a good Mick Foley book.
Yeah.
He's on about Christmas quite a bit.
He loves Christmas.
He does. He bloody loves Christmas almost as much as he likes being creepy around women, but we'll get to that.
I don't think he loves anything as much as he loves being creepy around women.
Poor Mick. Poor women, actually. What's the point?
Yeah.
Creepy Mick. Poor women.
Very, very creepy Mick. So Vince chastises Mick for coming out just to plug his book, and Foley brings up again a spread in his People magazine and shows off then his bookmark that he's bought out. And his bookmark we saw in the show that we looked at last week, where there was a segment where him and Linda was in some office with a stack of paperwork, and Foley was signing each one was a different contract.
Yeah. And
Foley has been using these intermittently to kind of overrun Vince's wishes.
It's just a way of retconning a load of stuff, isn't it? Didn't they say that he'd used his final one of these? I'm sure they said that.
I don't know. No, the one that we watched last week, that was the first time he'd used one.
Okay.
Because that was when the first time Vince saw the video.
Yes. Yeah, him with, what's her name?
With Linda.
Yeah.
So, on this show, he says he's still got a few more to go.
Joy.
So, it's been in TV time 2 months since the episode was
Something
watched.
like that, yeah.
So God knows how many he's got through, but he had a pile of about 150 on the desk.
Yeah, he did. There was a lot of them there.
Maybe he's been using my house shows.
Possibly, yeah.
I don't know.
It's stupid.
Or using them to impress women.
I don't like these segments at all. Mick Foley really annoys me.
You know, he does me as well. There's just something about him.
Yep, he's great in the ring. He's really, really good. He cuts a great promo. But this version of Mick Foley is incredibly annoying.
Yeah.
As we'll see with the segment with Trish a little bit later on in the show.
Yeah, with Deborah.
Oh, God.
Okay, so Foley brings up the bookmark that he's using for his number one bestseller. He's got a number one bestseller.
So I hear.
It's called Foley is Good.
Right. Where would I be able to buy this book?
Where places that sell books.
Wherever books are sold?
Wherever books are sold. There's quite a few charity shops in the high street. You might find it now. I found his book that he did in, what was it, the lockdown book, Countdown to Lockdown?
Something like
I
that.
found that in a charity shop.
Which they plugged on WWE TV.
Did they?
They did. And mentioning lockdown in name. Part of his deal when he came back here, he was able to plug it. And he
Okay.
plugged the Countdown to Lockdown, which I always found interesting.
Yeah. Maybe they got some royalties from it.
Oh yeah, it's not often that they even deign to mention TNA in that sort of way, but yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Okay. So Foley shows his bookmark, which happens to be another of the contracts that he signed with Linda the previous December. Although he's running out of them, he points out he's only got a few more left.
Thank Christ.
He feels that Vince is thinking Linda's stretching these out to get a big divorce settlement, and he says he'll be correct in thinking those things. This particular contract gives Mick the power to book any main event of his choice, and he's choosing the Raw right here tonight in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
To the big cheap pop.
So he decides he's going to book tonight's main event with Austin in another WWF Championship defence, this time against Chris Jericho. Vince is quite pleased because Mick goes on to tell him that Benoit will be banned from ringside. Mick then also points out that Vince will be barred from ringside, and Vince is less happy.
He's less happy about that one, and he's been happier as young Vincent.
This is an interesting part now.
Oh my God.
Vince tells Mick he's not going to fall for this again. He's consulted with his attorneys and points out that those contracts were signed in Connecticut. Therefore, they're only valid in Connecticut and won't work in Minnesota.
I would love to hear from Jerry McDevitt about this, about whether this is true or not.
So, is this just a particular kind of contract that can only be valid in the city it's signed in, or
Well, the first time he used it on the show that we covered the other week, that show wasn't in Stamford, was it?
no, but he's only just consulted his lawyers,
Right, okay.
so he wasn't aware of the legal implications previously.
So surely he could sue Mick Foley then for using these contracts in the wrong places? It's almost like they're making this up as they go along, doesn't it?
He may be able to sue him, but again, that'll be another legal bit that's bored up on Raw and may well just be as full of shit as this one.
Yeah, well, we do have those quite often, don't we? I'm still waiting to hear about the lawsuit that Heyman and Brock were going to bring against Hunter like 5 years ago, but that just kind of quietly disappeared.
Yeah, wasn't Shane going to bring one against Brock as well for the assault last year?
Well, no, because he paid his $500 fee, didn't he? In that baffling segment.
No, that's why Stephanie didn't do anything about him, because he paid the $500 fee.
But wasn't that the same thing? Wasn't that all part of the same thing? In arguably the worst segment in televised history.
Possibly. Maybe I've got to wait to go back to the same town that the incident.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, so the lawsuit.
That's where,
yeah, no, that's fair.
You know, legal implications can only take place in
that particular state.
That seems how it works. Yeah, fun. So legal precedents aside, Vince says no. Actually, fuck you, Mick. Get out of my ring. You're not doing this. It's not legal. To which Mick says, well, actually, I thought you'd figure this out at one point, so I've brought along a special guest who's going to help me out in this.
How any of this is relevant to any of it, I've no idea.
He then brings out the governor of Minnesota, Jesse the Body Ventura.
To a raucous reception from the crowd.
Fabulous response from the crowd.
They were very pleased to see Jesse.
Yeah.
Although they never called him the Body, did they? He was just Governor Jesse Ventura.
Yeah. Did Mick call him the Body when he bought him out?
Did he?
Yeah, I'm sure he did when he bought him out, but then it was just all Jesse and Jesse Ventura. So, Jesse walks down the ramp. Good response. Vince does not look happy to see him. I don't know whether this was mid-lawsuit or whatever.
Yeah, they'd had a couple of fallings out, hadn't they, at this point?
Yeah. And of course, was the XFL going on at this time, actually? Because Jesse was working that, wasn't it?
I think it was either just wrapping up or just wrapped up, wasn't it?
Yeah. But it's around the same time. Ventura gets the mic, tells Vince he couldn't control him when he worked for him, and he's certainly not going to be controlling him now. And whether Vince likes it or not, there are people more powerful than him, and Jesse is one of them. I don't know, I can't really get serious about a big tough guy called Jesse.
I know what you mean.
Just one of those things. Jesse uses his power as the highest elected official,
By the power vested in him, apparently.
invested in him, to officially mandate the Austin Jericho match, and even notarises Foley's contract to say that, yeah.
Which was a nice touch. I enjoyed that.
That was fine. At this point as well, Jesse points out somebody else in the crowd who's a Minnesota sports person.
Yeah, no idea who this was.
Sam, someone from Minnesota.
Sammy Sportsman, I think his name was, wasn't it?
The Minnesota
Minnesota sports team.
The Wildcats.
Yeah, why not?
Everyone's got a Wildcats. And Ventura finishes by telling Foley to have a nice day, and then just exchanges words with Vince off mic before departing.
Yeah.
That was a segment.
It certainly was.
It got the job done.
It did get the job done. This was really stupid.
Really, really stupid.
But gets people on the show, and it's another one of those examples of where Vince is okay with making himself look stupid.
Yeah, absolutely. The look he gave Ventura.
Yeah, when Jesse came out, we got the patented Vince giant gulp, didn't we, of terror that he does all the time.
Yeah.
It's good. Vince is never afraid to make himself look like an idiot for the purpose of the show.
Not all.
Hint, hint, Stephanie and Paul.
So, back from the break, Austin and Deborah arrive into the building. Austin, at this point, not aware that he's got a total defence, and he makes Deborah carry his bag.
This was ace.
She complains it's too heavy, but to no avail.
He's got a bad back and a bad neck.
He has.
From all those suplexes.
10 suplexes all last week on SmackDown, so he's got to look after himself.
Like a good heel. This was great.
So next is is the first King of the Ring qualifying match. Matt Hardy versus Jeff Hardy.
Yes.
So 16 entrants in this year's King of the Ring. This is the first match. Starts off with them just feeling each other out, locking up. Jeff rolls Matt up for a quick 2 count. Matt hits a leg sweep and gets his own quick 2 count. Lots of transitions, sunset flip reversals, arm drags into arm bars. Fun little match. It was quite quick. I expected it will be a bit cleaner, considering they're brothers and have probably been working together for about 15 years.
But until they become broken, these dudes can't have a good match together. Whether it's WrestleMania, whether it's Raw, whether it's any other pay-per-view.
I always felt there was something off with Matt.
Yeah, until they become broken, these dudes can't work well together. They never do. It's incredible.
Yeah. Matt goes for a suplex. Jeff counters with a jawbreaker and then hits the double leg drop. Jeff climbs to the top rope for the swanton, but Matt bumps his leg, causing Jeff to straddle the turnbuckle. Quite painful. Matt goes up after Jeff. Jeff shoves him off and goes for the swanton, but Matt gets his knees up to block it. Matt then goes for the twist of fate. Jeff counters it again into a backslide and gets a surprise 3.
Yes, with a backslide. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Lita looked very sad outside. Very sad.
She did. Yeah, I'm sure she'll get over it.
She will. She'll find love in the arms of somebody else. A winner. A real winner. Like Edge, maybe. Just throwing that out there as a possibility. But yeah, they can't work well together in matches until the broken era comes around in TNA.
Did they work well together in matches then?
Final deletion and all that. They were great.
In movies.
Well, yeah, but they were fantastic. It doesn't need repeating. The broken stuff is fantastic. Matt and Jeff, whenever they have matches together, at this point, terrible.
Yeah.
Although I'm probably overdoing that.
Okay.
It was fine, wasn't it?
It was okay. It was a last 16 qualifier for the King of the Ring. It was okay.
It was what it needed to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Wins with backslides, though. Always fun.
So next we've got Austin backstage, shining up his title belt. Deborah looking on as Vince comes into the room to inform him of his next title defence tonight. Austin bulks it, saying his back's killing him after SmackDown. Vince explains how Linda has their divorce going, and Mick used one of the contracts that she's signed with him. He mentions that Foley also has a surprise planned for the main event, but tries to assure Austin that they'll get through this together somehow. Austin then,
It's so great.
how good is this? Tells Vince his divorce is starting to affect Austin, and suggests that he just gives Linda $500 million.
Yeah, $500 million. Just give it that.
He says, just get it over with, Vince. It's affecting me now. It's playing on my mind. Give her $500 million. You've still got $500 million. What are you going to do with $500 million? You're not planning on living that long, are you?
The heel Steve Austin, whilst obviously this was a terrible idea in the long run for business and all the rest of it, the segments they got with heel Steve Austin are fabulous.
Every single one is gold. It really is. Vince tells Austin that Linda doesn't deserve half of his money, and Austin agrees until he looks at Deborah. He gives him a stern look, and then he just doesn't finish what he says. Never mind.
It's so great.
He then again just finishes by telling Vince to settle his issues with Linda because it's affecting him, and he doesn't deserve it.
Has there ever been a better on-screen duo than Vince and Steve Austin? No matter what they're doing, whether they're against one another, whether they're with one another, it doesn't matter. They are the best.
You'd be hard pressed to think of any, to find any.
I know that this isn't breaking news or hold the front page or anything. Steve Austin and Vince McMahon got good chemistry, but everything they do, even if it's just throwaway backstage segments for like 2 minutes, it blows everything else on the show out of the water. They're great.
I can't think of anything. Even with Flair, I can't think of anyone who was at his level.
No, Christ, no. You watch the old NWA, WCW shows or whatever with Flair.
Yeah.
He's head and shoulders above everybody else.
Yeah.
But for as great as Austin is, Vince is with him step by step in all of these segments. Everything the two of them do together is just golden. The best.
So back from the break, Mick's walking backstage when he comes across pouting Trish Stratus. So Trish explains that Terry has challenged her to a bra and panties match, but doesn't feel it's the best way to settle things. Shall I just start calling him Creepy Mick at this point?
Please do.
Creepy Mick responds by talking how Alexander Hamilton was killed in a duel with Aaron Burr, and if both men had settled things in a bra and panties match instead, then Hamilton would still be alive today. Creepy Mick then tells Trish how she has a duty as an American to exercise the freedoms their founding fathers fought for, prompting Trish to remind Creepy Mick that she's Canadian. But Creepy Mick mentions that Canada is part of North America, to which Trish smiles and says, yeah.
So, Mick Foley is very creepy. He's also an idiot, and Trish is stupid.
Yeah.
Which is the takeaways from this segment.
I will say one thing, that when Creepy Mick finds Trish, she's leaning over and she's got her tits out, basically. I've watched this about 3 times just to see.
Oh, you have?
Just to see how often Mick's eyes change from looking at Trish's eyes to her tits. And to be fair, it doesn't change.
Just staring at them the whole time. This was again, it goes back to what I said on the first show. The presentation of the women is incredible, and you think of where Trish is going to be in a couple of years' time in terms of her in-ring stuff. This is horrible.
Yeah,
Nobody comes out of this well.
It makes you think, that makes me think anyway, actually, was she any good? Or was it just that she was...
Yeah, she gets great. It doesn't help that she's,
Does she get great, or does she get great for early to mid-2000s women's level WWF wrestling?
I think she gets... She could...
If she was on today's roster...
She'd stand out, I think.
You think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Who would she be on the level as?
She's going to be on the level below Asuka like everybody else is. Asuka is the
Do you think
the
she
top
could have
of the tree.
matches like the matches that Sasha and Bailey had? Or
Absolutely,
Becky had? Really?
absolutely.
Okay.
I think she.
I don't know because I've not seen that much of that era, so take your
Absolutely,
word for
I
it.
think she would. But she would be beneath Asuka, like 99% of the rest of the roster, male or female.
So, done with Creepy Mick for this segment.
Thank Christ.
We then go backstage where Tajiri is pouring some tea for Commissioner Regal. who-
Very dark, that tea, I thought. As a tea drinker, that looked like dark tea for me. A cup of tea, a good cup of tea, should be the same colour as He-Man.
Should it really?
Yep. This is a thing online. This isn't my invention, unfortunately.
There's a thing online.
A good cup of tea should be the same colour as He-Man, and this tea did not look the colour of He-Man.
Maybe he has black tea.
No, because we see the cup at a slightly different angle later, and it does look more like tea. Like there is milk in there, but it just looks too dark for my money.
I think you're missing the key points of this segment, to be honest.
Yeah, well, that might be. But tea's very important to me, Mark.
Okay.
Very important to me.
Okay, it was 2 degrees cold apparently, which Regal complained at which point Kirst Angle burst in and scared the shit out of Tajiri.
Yes, he did.
He looked like he'd seen a ghost.
Like
He
Godzilla
really
had
had.
arrived.
Oh, Godzilla with an Olympic gold medal.
Anyone with a broken freaking neck.
Yeah. Regal gets Tajiri to go and fetch some more tea, which I'm sure he was quite happy with, just to get away from
Absolutely.
Godzilla. And then Angle asks Regal about Shane McMahon, who Regal says has accepted Angle's challenge for a match at King of the Ring. So this is the famous match.
Terrifying match.
With the real glass. Angle surprises Regal by asking to be in the tournament as well to defend his King of the Ring championship.
So, then, if we're to take this as being real, the tournament has started,
Yep.
and we come back to this later on with Edge and Christian. The tournament has started, and they yet don't know all of the entrants.
Yep.
So if Kurt hadn't gone in and asked to be in the tournament, what would have happened? If Christian hadn't declared himself in the tournament later on, what would have happened? The matches
Leave
have
the
already
lottery.
begun, so they can't have brackets already. Because
No.
otherwise you've got
Well, they certainly haven't been shown.
question marks in these brackets. This is as bad, if not worse, than the show starts and there's no main event yet thing that they still do today.
Yeah.
This was stupid. More Kurt is always great, obviously, because Kurt's fantastic, but this doesn't make any sense. And Mr. Regal, as we know from NXT, is a great GM.
He's a tremendous GM.
I don't think he'd start a tournament without knowing all of the entrants.
Maybe Tajiri was going to be in there, and he just thought Angle was so terrifying and scary. I won't put Tajiri in there.
Maybe he bumped him out. Yeah, possibly. That's as good an explanation as the one they provided.
Maybe I'll just tell him he's tea shit, so you're not being in the King of the Ring.
Yeah, you need to earn your spot, damn it, by making me a good cup of tea.
Absolutely.
That's fair. That's as good an explanation as they gave, because they didn't give one.
So my explanation is as good as no explanation.
Yep.
Okay, that's all right. Regal is hesitant at the thought of putting Kurt in the tournament. Angle insists he can do both, mentioning his recent induction into the National Wrestling Hall of Fame. He also then demands a one-on-one match with Spike Dudley tonight for interfering in some match on SmackDown. Mm-hmm. Do you know what all that was about?
Not really.
Nope. Apparently there was some match on SmackDown that Spike interfered in.
We will be watching SmackDown when the invasion bleeds over into SmackDown, which is coming soon.
Yeah, it'll be in a month's time.
Yes, after the King of the Ring pay-per-view when it's on both shows.
Yeah. Regal tells Angle that Hollies and Dudleys are booked in a match tonight, but decides to add Angle and Spike and make it a six-man match with Angle teaming with the Hollies.
The Hollies.
The Hollies. Well, there are three of them.
There are three, that's true.
Angle then remembers breaking Hardcore's arm and laughing about it, as well as threatening Molly and smashing Crash in the head with a chair.
Kurt's so great.
But he forgives them for it, so he'll join the team.
He's the bigger man, isn't he? Old Kurt. The bigger man.
Again, anything with Kurt in is absolute gold. Whether he's goofy Kurt like he is now, a bit of a doofus, or when he goes into the wrestling machine.
Yep.
It's just...
I think we've got him coming with Kurt and with Steve and Vince coming soon. Austin,
Not too
Vince,
long,
and
yeah.
Kurt, fabulous together.
Not too long. So the Dudleys and Spike are watching this on a monitor. And Spike seems thrilled that they're getting back into this six-man tag, so I suppose he can get back in the Dudleys' good books after they battered him last week.
Yep.
Devon informs him that they didn't have a choice, and if they did, they definitely wouldn't have picked him as the partner. Bubba tells Spike how he's cost them enough matches already, and he better not screw this up for them, and he better keep his mind on the match, not on something else or someone else. This must have been really weird, because they must have also been in the background on the TV that they was just watching.
Yeah, they were watching themselves, kind of, afterwards.
And I imagine it's one of those pictures where there's also on the TV, you can see another smaller TV and themselves, and then another smaller TV into infinity.
On the plus side, though, at least they weren't all watching it at a weird sideways on angle, because we saw it from behind the TV, didn't we, kind of on an angle?
Yeah.
So they were watching TV like normal humans, which we see with Spike again in a minute. He's actually looking directly at the screen rather than that weird body facing the camera, head facing the TV thing that they do nowadays.
Yeah. So back to the arena, JR and Heyman recap how the Dudleys powerbombed Molly and Spike through a table last week, showing clips. We then cut over to WWF New York, again looking very, very cool. Still a lot to go there. Find Molly there, looking all better.
Looking very nice with Molly in this.
Certainly was. JR asked her about Spike's message last Thursday. Spike sent her a message last Thursday, apparently. I'm sure it was nice.
I fancy you, essentially, is what he said.
Yeah, that's kind of the message I got. Molly says that she hopes to be back very soon and thanks Spike for the flowers he sent her and that she likes him. We then cut back to the arena where Spike, watching the TV, gets very, very happy.
He's giddy, I would say.
Giddy and fluttery and...
There's a lot going on here, isn't there? And it all just seems a bit awkward, the segues from segment to segment to segment.
Maybe Molly's another one who's never kissed a boy.
Yeah, maybe she's the proto-Bailey.
Yeah. Cut to a break, and then we see a sneak peek of Mick Foley's upcoming spread in People magazine. Sorry, Creepy Mick's upcoming spread in People magazine that he touched on in the earlier promo segment.
The Creepy Mick touching on things.
Yep.
Not for me.
No, not at all. So, 6-man match, Devon, Bubba Ray and Spike Dudley versus Kurt Angle, Crash and Hardcore Hollow. Angle team with the Hollies despite his history with them. Devon starts with Hardcore Hollow. Spike immediately asked Devon to tag him in, and Devon obliges, while Angle asked Hardcore Holly to let him face Spike. Before he has a chance to do that, Spike runs at Angle on the apron, hits him with a forearm, and then gets the fuck out of there and tags out.
So Spike, simultaneously an idiot and very, very clever.
Yes.
Attack Kurt, but then get the hell out of the way.
Scurries away off into his corner and tags back in Devon.
Like a good baby face.
Like the best baby faces. Yes. Devon's back in there now with Holly. Hardcore's pounding on Devon, whips him in, but Devon jumps and hits a flying clothesline. Spike tags in then, bites Hardcore in the face, which was a lovely sight. Tosses him across the ring and clotheslines him now to get his revenge. Drapes Spike on the ropes then and boots him in the chest. He goes flying over the top rope. He can take a good bump, can Spike, I can tell you that.
Very little choice when you're in there with Bob Holly, though, because
no wonder he can barely walk these days.
He doesn't exactly pull his punches either, does he, old Bob?
No, he doesn't at all. Not at all. Bubba goes outside to check on Spike, but the ref holds him back, while Crash tosses Spike back in the ring. Angle really getting impatient on the apron now for a tag. Crash tags him, snapmare Spike, grabs his arm, and just hammers away his back, clubbing him, knees into his back, applies a face lock. Spike inching towards his corner, makes a tag to Bubba, but unfortunately the ref's distracted, doesn't see it.
Right.
Obviously didn't hear the clapping noise of the tag, so he gets them back out there.
Always great. I love that stuff.
Old school tags.
Yep. God bless the Revival for bringing that stuff back. I love that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not fuck the Revival, Cody Rhodes.
Angle's waited long enough now and decides to tag himself in, runs right into an arm drag. Couple of lovely looking arm drags here from Spike. Hits him then with a drop toe hold and a drop kick, but Angle shoves him onto the corner and Hardcore nails him from the apron. Angle plants Spike with a German suplex and stomps him in the corner, sets Spike on the top rope and goes looking for a superplex, gets fought off by Spike and hits him with a double stomp. Hot tag to Bubba. Hardcore also gets his tag, but Bubba pounds him, hits the backdrop, followed with a Bubba bomb. Crash attempts to come in. Bubba plants him with a Samoan drop and tosses him back out the ropes. Bubba then sets Hardcore on his shoulders while Devon climbs to the top ropes, hits the Dudleyville device. Referee tries to get Devon back to the corner while Angle comes up and hits Bubba with a German suplex. Angle then climbs to the top rope and goes for the moonsault, but misses it. Lovely looking moonsault.
They always are, and he always misses.
Yeah. At least he didn't break anyone's ribs.
That's very
Apart
true.
from maybe his own. They then hit the What's Up headbutt the Dudleys. Bubba sends Devon to go and fetch a table, but crashes in, pounces on Devon. Crash goes for the whip, but Devon reverses it and they hit the 3D. Hardcore pulls Devon out of the ring while Angle plants Bubba with the Olympic slam and grabs the pin.
Angle slam, please. Not allowed to be the Olympic slam.
It's the Olympic slam.
Did the IOC stopped him?
Did they?
It has to be the Angle slam.
When?
Not long after he debuted.
Okay.
He was using it as the Olympic slam, and they said, no. You can't reproduce the Olympic rings either,
No.
because the IOC don't like it. So there you go. Unless you bribe them, obviously.
What's wrong with people?
This was fine, wasn't it? It was
okay.
It was perfectly fine.
It was a decent TV tag match.
Kurt's ace.
He's fabulous. Crash as well. I've always been a huge fan of Crash Holly. I think he's great.
Very tragic what happened with Crash, but yeah, he was very, very good. Bob Holly's fine as well. I know he takes liberties with people at various points in his career, but yeah, this was fine. Perfectly acceptable tag match. Nothing to particularly write home about, but nice storyline progression. Good stuff.
We then get Chris Benoit versus the Big Show. So Vince counted on Big Show to teach Benoit a lesson. Heyman brings up how both men have been WCW champions and the fact that Benoit never actually lost the championship.
Lots and lots and lots of WCW references on this show from Heyman in particular.
They're out to now.
Yes, he references ECW quite a lot later on in the show, but he does lots of WCW references to signpost the fact that all this is coming.
So Benoit tries to get the first shots in, but Show just shrugs him off, throws him into the corner, hits him with a knee. Benoit slips out, starts hammering him with kicks and then chops, goes for an Irish whip. Can't budge Show.
You'd think people would learn, wouldn't you, really? People have been trying to do that to him for like 20 odd years. He won't go. Don't bother.
It's the challenge of it though, isn't it?
Do you think?
I think so.
Professional pride, I'll be the one that gets him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe.
Like the sword in the stone.
Yeah, perhaps.
what it is.
The King Arthur deal. Yeah, maybe. But he didn't get him.
Big Show comes back with a giant chop of his own. He then whips Benoit into the ropes, hits a clothesline, follows it up with a headbutt. Benoit tries to fight back. Show again whips him into the corner, into a big boot. Hits a press slam, climbs on the middle rope and goes for an elbow drop. This is
That's the ugliest elbow drop since CM Punk.
Oh.
This was terrible.
He kind of jumped off and straight onto his back.
Yeah, I know he's supposed to miss. Obviously, Benoit rolls out the way, but this just looked really ugly.
Benoit hits a drop kick, goes to the top and hits the diving headbutt. Attempts to. Show catches him in the choke.
It wasn't very clear, was it, from the camera angle that they got? They didn't make it clear that had happened.
Yeah, he Show is on the floor. Benoit actually does the headbutt, but into Show's hand.
Yeah, and they kind of
More than
pop up
anything.
and Show's got him goozled.
Yeah, goes for the choke slam. Show goes for the choke slam. Benoit counters that and goes for the crossface. Show rolls him onto his shoulders. Benoit rolls back over though, managed to lock in the crossface this time, and Show is eventually forced to tap. So in subsequent weeks now, Benoit has forced Rhino and Show to tap out for both of them for the first time in their careers.
Yeah, and Heyman put over on both shows, didn't he? The feat of getting these dudes to tap out.
Yeah.
Again, Show looks so slow in this match. That elbow drop was horrifying.
Yeah.
Benoit is just Benoit, and everything he does looks great.
Yeah.
But yeah, Show looks, even though he's not particularly fat at this point, very, very slow.
He does, yeah. Yeah. It's very different from, even just a couple of years ago in WCW when he still looked like a proper athlete.
Yeah, he doesn't look motivated at
It's all
all.
that smoking.
And pizza. Yeah, but smoking, pizza and milk. But he doesn't look motivated at all, does he, in this period?
No,
He's
no.
just there. He's very big, though.
He is. He probably just needed a FaceTime.
Do you think?
I think so. He was due on, no doubt.
Been 2 or 3 minutes since his last one.
Absolutely. Maybe why SmackDown. So next we get to The Undertaker. Makes his way to the ring.
That fucking music.
You're not a fan.
The Limp Bizkit.
He had a nice bike.
Yeah, oh, it was a lovely bike.
It was red.
The biker
silver.
taker thing is just.
See, at the time, I quite liked it.
Really?
Yeah. No. I don't.
It looks better than short-haired biker taker, which looks so stupid. That haircut. Not for me.
He makes his way to the ring, looking to address
The Black Scorpion.
his wife's talk. Yeah, gets on the mic, starts off by saying somebody has a death wish, and that wish is
Lovely.
about to come true.
Lovely.
Perfect timing.
Yep.
Yeah, great segment to do that in. Mentions that someone's stalking his wife. If that person has a problem with him, it needs to be him. Taker says he chose the WWF life for himself and has gone out of his way to keep his family out of the business. Obviously, apart from his father and brother.
Apart from them, half brother, please.
So, same thing. Still family, still the fam. Says his stuff's gone on for long enough and he's not in the mood for any more letters or videotapes. Makes mention of how in the past he's warned people not to mess with his family, including Austin, but he knows that Austin isn't the one behind it because he knows what's going to happen to him when anyone messes with his family.
There were a couple of bits where he got quote unquote emotional, but it just looked to me like he'd forgotten what he was supposed to say.
I think the pauses were
him trying to remember all of the stuff that he had to do.
Yeah, and those pauses were the points where it was mentioned how emotional he's getting.
Yeah, he didn't, when he was cutting his promo for the 99% of the time, he didn't look up. He just had his head down, was walking around the ring saying the points that he could remember, I think. And then, like I said, there were a couple of emotional bits in bunny ears where I think he just plumb forgot what he was supposed to be saying.
Taker then looks over to the commentary table and mentions that JR was the first one to get the letter and tape. He feels he's probably got nothing to do with it, but he still warns him that it'll be on his list, and if there's something not telling him, there's going to be trouble.
It's terrible. This is terrible.
Heyman then starts to comment on if it was his old lady, but he couldn't finish his sentence because he got slapped upside his head.
Oh, Heyman's so great. If it was my old lady.
Yeah.
Awesome.
JR then just points out Heyman's innocence. It's nothing to do with either of them. Person that Taker should speak to is Vince, because he's the one who seems to know everything about everything what's going on in the company.
Well, he should do, really. He's his company.
Taker decides to do just that. Although, before he actually can do anything else, another tape pops up onto the Tron, this time showing Sarah. I always thought it was Sarah, but they call it Sarah.
Yeah, it's Sarah.
Sarah, no,
I've got a cousin that spells her name the same way, and she's Sarah, but this apparently is Sarah.
Yeah, I work with a couple of people spelt this way, and it's Sarah. And the one of them really gets uptight when it's if anyone calls her Sarah.
Is she really?
Yeah.
Is she Sarah Undertaker, do we know?
Don't think so. No, she's far too young for that.
Doesn't look like Michelle McCool.
No. So as Taker watches, the Black Scorpion's voice then cuts in, asking if Sarah's husband's home, or is she all alone. Sarah then just starts splashing around by the pool and sprays water on her dogs.
The dog seems to be having a nice
time. Not a euphemism.
No.
As the voice says that he's further away than he looks, but he could get up closer if he wanted. He did look like he was very close.
He did, didn't it? He did look like that.
Yeah, almost so much that he was moving the actual leaves on the trees.
Yeah. Well, maybe the cameraman. Maybe he hired a cameraman.
Maybe he's got like a really long lens.
Yeah, or maybe he's hired a cameraman and he's got like a remote mic and he's just doing a voiceover over the top.
Could be. Could have been the first ever drone.
Absolutely.
Who's to say?
This was stupid.
Taker gets really frustrated. What a surprise. Glances over at JR and where Heyman should be, but he's all battered. And then storms to the back as we go to another commercial. Classic King of the Ring moment. Undertaker throwing Mankind off the top of Hell in a Cell.
It is a classic moment.
It certainly is. In my notes there, I did put originally tossing Mankind off the top of the Hell in a Cell. I just, on the fly, I thought I'd change that.
That's a very different show.
I should have said tossing Creepy Mick off the top of the cell. Yeah.
Very different.
Very different show, and maybe that's something that the Black Scorpions are showing.
I'm glad they didn't do that.
Next King of the Ring qualifying match, Taz versus Rhino.
This was ace.
This was really good, hard-hitting match. Ali again went for 3 minutes.
Lots of ECW references.
Lots of ECW references, lots of suplex. At one point, Taz hits the gore on Rhino. Only gets a 2 from that one. Obviously, it's not as powerful if you do somebody else's finisher.
No, he did get a good one, though. It was a good gore.
He did.
The crowd went crazy for Taz.
Somebody had a big sign with Gore spelled Goar on it 3 times.
Excellent.
He did look about 6.
Somebody also, I think it was on the first show, spelled your YOU''R.
Is that the Canadian spelling of it?
I think it must be. Wrestling fans.
Taz slaps on the slap mission. The slap mission. That's why he never got the win for it.
Should have gone for the Taz mission.
He should have. Rhino backs him into the corner. Taz keeps hold on it, leaps on Rhino's back, but Rhino throws himself backwards to the mat, causing Taz to break the hold. Rhino then gores Taz, pins him 1, 2, 3, and advances.
Disappointing. The crowd were heavily into Taz. Rhino, obviously Rhino's really good. Crowd really wanted to see Taz win this match. Shame. But it was good. I enjoyed it for like a 3-minute match.
It was good.
Why didn't Taz wrestle in these little, onesie, singlet, there we go. Why do you have to have the boiler suit Taz? The singlet looked much better.
Maybe he couldn't fit in anymore.
Maybe he was bulking out at this point, and they did reference on commentary that he was now announcing on SmackDown.
Yeah.
So there might have been some ring rust, but this was good. I enjoyed it. Taz is ace.
And Rhino. To be fair. Backstage, Deborah and Steve Austin again. Austin's worried about Mick Foley's surprise for the match. Austin figures out that Deborah's still friends with Foley, so he suggests that she go and meet with him.
He doesn't like surprises, does he, Steve?
He doesn't like surprises at all. So Deborah goes just to do that, as Austin is just left stewing about the surprise.
And he said, "I'll be here with the belt," which made me laugh. Vince must not have liked that.
Back from the break, Kurt Angle is promoting the SmackDown Your Vote campaign. Deborah searches for Mick, eventually finds him sitting on the steps, drawing on a sock. Greet each other. Deborah gives Foley some candy. At least it's not the other way around.
That is true.
Yeah. And asks him about his surprise. Foley refused to divulge it. Doesn't want Deborah to go away empty-handed, so he gives her a signed copy of his book. Now, do you know he's got a new book, Rich?
Via osmosis, I have begun to pick that up. But he says that he doesn't want her to pay for it, and that she gets it free because she deserves it.
Yeah.
And that didn't lead to a chant or anything?
No, not at all. 15 years later, it would have no doubt. Foley then does ask Deborah where she'll be, just in case he changes her mind, but let her know what the surprise is.
I hated this.
Yeah,
this
Deborah
is so
said she'll be right by the candy.
Yeah, this is rubbish. I hate this. Obviously, Deborah's not very good. And she's there for a couple of obvious reasons. But these segments are so terrible.
Christian and Edge segment where they're just complaining about the Intercontinental title match from earlier. Christian points out that he's then going to join the King of the Ring tournament.
Yep.
Which Edge is already in. And
yep.
They'll have a little discussion about what's going to happen.
Declare themselves in tournaments. Like Sami Zayn tried to do for the Royal Rumble and Steph told him he couldn't do. I think this segment was designed purely to advertise the fact that Edge and Christian had 2 different t-shirts and now a baseball cap, because Christian was wearing a bright yellow t-shirt and a bright yellow baseball cap with his hair in a ponytail, which is always a strong look. I'm guessing they were new, but they were grumpy with one another at the end, weren't they, and went their separate ways because they're both in the tournament.
Yeah, they were. Next we got a Michael Cole interview with Chris Jericho and his title match. Little Michelle Cole with his
frosted tips and his giant head. He's got a giant Jordan Devlin head, hasn't he, compared to the rest of his body?
Yeah, he has kind of, yeah. Jericho says he's got many proud accomplishments during his WWF career, such as being a 3-time IC champion. His proudest moment was defeating Triple H for the WWF Championship last year on Raw, even though it was subsequently reversed.
And the crowd went fucking crazy for that title change that wasn't.
Yeah. Jericho says what he deserves is to be WWF champion, and that's the bottom line because Jerichoholics say so.
He deserves it. Clap, 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 clap.
Next we have Trish versus Terry in a bra and panties match. This was a bra and panties match and it went for 2 minutes.
Yep.
Perry Saturn come out and disrobed to show himself in a bra and a thong.
Because he'd gone crazy because he'd been hitting the head so much.
I know, it knocked his eye right out of alignment and everything.
This is... Again, they knew what concussions were. This is just lovely. Although Terry's bottom in the thong is always nice.
Absolutely no worse spanking it this week. Even though she loves it apparently.
But this was just a thing that was there to get TNA in there, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's about it. At least only went a couple of minutes.
Yep.
Back from the break, Lillian Garcia announces a special troubleshooting referee has been appointed for the main event, which happens to be Creepy Mick.
Yep. He's all over this fucking show.
Yeah. JR feels that this is fair, and Heyman claims that Vern Gagne is rolling over in his grave, even though he's not dead.
Heyman's so great.
Main event time.
Austin makes his way out first and attacks Jericho straight away as he climbs into the ring, stomps him down in the corner. Austin rams Jericho repeatedly into the turnbuckle, chokes him out in the middle rope, goes for an Irish Rip, which Jericho reverses into the corner, hits a drop kick, and wails on him with kicks and chops. Austin whips Jericho and goes for the Thez press, but Jericho catches the legs.
That was so good.
Goes to the walls of Jericho.
Very
Excellent.
smoothly done.
Yeah, really good. Austin inching his way for the ropes. Jericho pulls him away and tries again. Austin manages to grab the rope, so Bell's out to the floor, Jericho behind him, but Austin clotheslines him, throws him back into the ring, has a few words with Creepy Mick, climbs on the apron when Jericho hits him with a springboard dropkick. Jericho goes back out after Austin, rams him into the barricade. Austin rams Jericho into the steps. Foley tries to get a match back on track, back in the ring. As soon as he does this, Austin whips Jericho right into Foley, wiping both of them out. Austin picks Jericho up and tries to Irish whip him. Jericho reverses and tosses Austin knee first into the steps. I bet that hurt. And then he drops Austin onto the barricade and rolls back into the ring before Foley tosses Austin in as well.
Not very unbiased refereeing, is it, at this point?
Well, I suppose if he's a troubleshooter or an enforcer, that's the kind of thing that...
Steve was just on the outside, he was just getting some much needed rest. And Mick Foley comes along here, throwing him back in.
It's a one-man lumberjack match.
It's unacceptable. He's supposed to be a troubleshooting ref. The competitors are allowed to be outside for 10 seconds.
Maybe it's a bit creepy with fellas as well.
Maybe. Damn it, Mick.
Maybe a bit touchy-feely. Jericho stomps away on Austin. Austin rolls back out, but Foley tosses him back into the ring for a second time. Jericho then goes to the second rope, hits a missile drop kick, attempts a forearm on Austin, but misses and takes out the ref. Jericho comes off the ropes with a bulldog, then goes for his line salt, but Austin gets his knees up to block it. Whips Jericho, hits a spine buster and an elbow drop, then rakes Jericho's face with his knee brace. That looks a bit painful.
It was a great spine buster as well.
Yeah, excellent. Austin pulls Jericho's arms while pressing his knee into the back. Jericho won't submit, manages to reverse the hold, and Austin comes back with a mule kick below the belt for a near fall. That's the kind of thing that Mick should intervene with.
Absolutely it is.
You wouldn't want him to DQ it though, would you?
Well, no, not in a world title match. You've got to give him some leeway.
Austin goes for the stunner, but Jericho shoves away, puts Austin back in the walls of Jericho again. Austin tries to hold on while Foley slides in to take over the officiating and asks Austin if he wants to give up. Before Austin can answer him though, here comes William Regal, and he pulls Foley out of the ring onto the floor and just tees off on him.
It's some great punches.
He really did.
Regal's so great with his pocket watch flapping around outside of his waistcoat.
Yeah,
William
yeah,
Regal's
not in his
the
ring
best.
gear, just in his waistcoat and his trousers.
He's official general manager, commissioner outfit. Sorry,
yeah,
awesome.
While this is going on, for whatever reason, Jericho lets go of Austin, goes out to the floor and starts brawling with Regal. Foley then grabs a chair, swings it at Regal, but Regal ducks. Jericho gets nailed by the chair by mistake. Austin throws Jericho back in the ring and covers him as Hebner revives to count.
The slow dramatic pin that we need so much more of nowadays.
Yes.
This was ace.
But only gets a 2. This is also really good. Immediately after getting the 2, Austin hits a stunner, then gets a 3 count.
Yep. No dicking about, just went straight for his main move.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Really good match.
Yeah, this was great. It's main event WWF style at this point, isn't it? Lots of brawling outside, lots of shenanigans, ref bumps, dudes running in. This is really, really good. We got to see William Regal do punches. Awesome.
Yeah. But Austin escapes with the belt. Back down the ramp after the match. Foley tosses Regal in the ring and Jericho puts him in the walls. And as he's tapping, Foley pulls out Mississauga and locks in the mandible claw
to finish this one.
Poor Regal, poor Regal.
Absolutely. The one of the best bits of this for my money is at the finish, just after Austin hits the stunner and gets the win. JR on commentary can't help himself, just says damn it under his breath, and Heyman goes off on him saying don't say damn it, call the action, call the winner, and still world champion Steve Austin. Yeah. Awesome. Heyman and JR have got such good chemistry together.
Yeah,
they're brilliant. Loved it. This whole main event was tremendous.
It was great.
Everyone did their part to the best of their abilities, with the exception of Creepy Mick throwing Steve back in. That annoyed me.
Yeah,
loved it.
But another fun show again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really
some good stuff, some stupid stuff. The treatment of the women is astonishing, and we've got a whole Christ knows how long of that to go before we get into some more sensible management of the female characters of this show. But the actual wrestling, some of it very good, some of it just throw away.
Yeah.
Attitude. Attitude Era stuff. So we will be back on next week's show with 2 more episodes of Monday Night Raw, I believe.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Will we covering something else as well for next week, or are we just doing those 2 shows?
I think it's probably... those are the only ones we're going to do a full recap.
Yeah, absolutely. We might cover something else.
Probably look at the G1 blocks as well, I think.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So we will be back next week. Speak to you later.
Bye-bye.